To access the Stock Viewer, click the Viewers tab, and then click Stock Viewer. The Stock Viewer is an enormous spreadsheet of all the stocks that we track. Here we're looking at one corner of a big spreadsheet. We track about 8,000 stocks, and here we're looking at the stocks with the best combination of value, safety, and timing. We put the best stocks at your fingertips every single day. To give you an idea why the Stock Viewer is a great place to start, we've had 15 green lights in that price column of the color guard since our last red light back on August 30th, 2010. Simply buying the top 10 stocks from the Stock Viewer made money 14 out of the 15 days for an annualized rate of return of 65%. So as I said earlier, we're dealing with a great basket of stocks here. We advise buying stocks with smooth, steady increases in price and smooth, steady increases in earnings. Earnings is the engine that drives stock prices higher. When preparing to buy stocks, you want to look at their graphs. To graph the top 20 stocks, click on the Graph button on your top toolbar. My graph button says Graph Top 20. If yours doesn't say Graph Top 20, simply click the down arrow and select it from the list. We are looking at a one-year graph. Since we're looking at the top VST stocks, we know the price is going to be above the 40-day moving average. We also know the price is going to be above the stop price. We know the RT is going to be above 1. Once we buy one of these stocks, we'll watch those indicators more closely. At this point, we want to place earnings per share on the graph. Our earnings per share is a forecasted earnings, and you won't get this anywhere else. We're not just giving you the most recent quarter's earnings. We're looking at historical, current, and forecasted earnings in our calculation for earnings per share. It's like a flashlight into the future. To add earnings per share to the graph, simply click the checkbox for it in the parameter list. I'm going to uncheck the moving average, volume, and RT to make things a little clearer to see. You want to favor stocks with smooth increases in price and smooth increases in earnings. As you go through these graphs, write down the ticker symbols of the stocks you would consider buying. If you see something that concerns you, move on to the next graph. You will find one or more that you like. Let's look at a few graphs. Look at earnings per share for this stock. This is fantastic. This is exactly what you want to see. A nice stair-step pattern up from the lower left to the upper right. Earnings continues to grow throughout the course of the year. And take a look at the stock's price. Lower left-hand corner to the upper right-hand corner, and for the most part in a nice line. It went from $10 a share all the way up over $40 a share over the course of the year. Now, if this pullback worries you, move on to the next stock. If not, write it down as a candidate, because otherwise this graph looks like a pretty good graph. To move to the next graph, click the down arrow on the scroll bar on the right-hand side. Again, look at earnings per share for this stock. This is fantastic. Lower left-hand corner to the upper right-hand corner, earnings per share continues to grow throughout the course of the year. That's exactly what you want to see. And look at the stock's price. From $10 a share to over $20, so it's over doubling over the course of the year, and for the most part in a nice steady line. That's again what you want to see. And if these pullbacks throughout the year are too much for you, just move on to the next stock. But again, here you're looking at a pretty good graph and a great company with nice earnings. To move to the next stock, let's click the down arrow. Again, starting off with earnings, that looks great. Nice movement all the way up through the course of the year. But if you look at the stock's price, it fluctuates quite a bit throughout the course of the year. So it's not as pretty a graph as the ones we saw earlier. So you might see this one and just decide to move on. Then you come to a stock like this. Earnings per share, again, a nice stair step throughout the course of the year. And that's exactly what you want to see. and the stock's price moving from lower left to upper right. So when you see things like this, you can continue to write down the stocks that you like. And you move on to the next one. Maybe you think this one's a little bit too volatile for you, especially if you look at earnings. Earnings went up and then back down, so you might decide to move on to the next one. You'll come to one like this. Look at this earnings. Continues to rise. Stock's price. Nice upwards movement. So like I said before, you'll go through these graphs and write down the ticker symbols of the stocks that you like. You are preparing yourself in case the market continues to increase. You want to be ready with a list of stocks you'd be willing to purchase.